Oh, you didn't do the count.
Welcome to the Week 10 Fantasy Football pregame show here at Blue Duck Fantasy Football, aka BDFF. Joining me as always is Matt. Matt, how you doing this Sunday? Week 10, we're in the double-digit weeks. It is getting close to playoff time, and we're here to help you get to the playoffs. Matt, how are you this Sunday?
I am okay. How about you?
I am doing okay. I'm excited. I don't know why. I think it's because I don't have any food in the house, so I have to order food today to eat.
Ooh.
And I don't know what I'm going to get yet. So if you're watching, make sure to comment what I should order. Matt, I won't be taking any feedback from you.
Okay.
Injury report, nothing major. James Robinson is playing today. He was the only one who was kind of the uncertain. A lot of people were knocked out the other day, including Ben Roethlisberger, Chase Claypool, Jamal Williams. Ramondre Stevenson is active, so he should be pretty good today with Damian Harris being ruled out yesterday and Zach Moss also active. We're going to talk about both Zach Moss and Ramondre Stevenson in a bit, but first let's get to everyone's favorite segment, Matt's weather forecast.
A couple of games with some wintry type conditions with snow and rain and wind. That is in Pittsburgh with the Lions visiting the Steelers. And in Green Bay, you probably saw a couple pictures this morning. They've got a lot of snow there. Possibly going to let up by the game time there, but and it probably won't change a whole lot, but there is some snow to be aware of anyway.
Fantastic, as always. Now let's talk about Thursday Night Football. We had the Dolphins beating the highly favored Ravens in a game that wasn't overly that close. Matt, your thoughts on both of these teams and the game on Thursday?
It seemed like a letdown game for Baltimore. I'm not really concerned about them going forward. Very different strategy, though, and I'm sure that'll be a copycat on how to try to slow down the Ravens offense with essentially all out blitzing on like 80% of the plays and not letting Lamar scramble too much. Nice to see Tua get a decent performance in there, and hopefully he's the man going forward for Miami.
Speaking of them, what are they doing with him? Like, why was he not the starter if he was going to go in and play anyways? Like, what were they holding him off for? He even hit his throwing hand on somebody's helmet during the game, and you thought, okay, so he's going back to the bench. But no, they decided to stick with him. What is this, like, philosophy? Just like, whatever, we go with whatever quarterback. We don't treat anybody as a starter. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Like maybe Brissett's knee injury was worse than it was, or I don't really know. I was surprised that they told Brissett to go sit back down.
He looked ready to go play.
Oh,
so yeah, I don't understand why you're bringing in your second-year quarterback who's been the talk of trade talks for the past 9 weeks back into the game when he's not 100% in order to play. I guess it's a good confidence boost for him going forward, but it just really seems like there's no consistency as to what's going on there, and I don't think that's very good for quarterback development. We saw it last year. He got pulled for Fitzmagic late in games and went on to win games, and I don't know if they're trying to have like a team-first attitude, forget the player, but whatever they're doing, it's very odd, and we haven't seen it before. I don't want to say it's not going to work, but it's just very different than what we've seen with young quarterbacks.
Unusual, yeah.
Let's talk about our rankings, the ones that we have very different going into Week 10. Of course, if you have any fantasy football start-sits questions, rest of season questions, dynasty trade questions, any type of questions that are related to fantasy football, make sure you comment and ask them, and we'll get to those right away. Let's talk about Matt Ryan. Matt, your least favorite player in the world, apparently. You recently, let's say week 4 or 5, said that he was dead, never going to come back. He's finished as a fantasy starter. And you still have him 15th now. He's been playing a lot better as of late. I have him 9th. Why is he not making your top 10 or your top 12? Why is he at 15?
He's still not. His numbers last week were really good, but he's still just not a top 12 to 15, 12-ish quarterback for me. There's still too many better options out there. I know that you're thinking maybe more of a high-scoring game this one here, but I think the Cowboys' defense is a little bit better despite their ranking than it appears. So, and he's obviously without his top weapon in Calvin Ridley, which was supposed to be his top weapon, we'll say. Yeah, he's got Pitts and Patterson, but as those are your top weapons, I'm not too sold on you. Top 15, so you start him in a 2-quarterback league, but in a single quarterback, I'm sure there are better options out there.
So somebody that you have higher than him that I have, basically in the spot that you have him is Ryan Tannehill, who has also not been very good this year. Last week was the first game without Derrick Henry, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. What is it that you like more about Ryan Tannehill going up against the Saints, who, other than last week against Matt Ryan, have been pretty stingy on defense for what they give up?
I like Tannehill's scrambling ability versus Matt Ryan, so I think he's going to get you about 5 or 6 sneaky points like that, and very possible for a rushing touchdown with no Derrick Henry.
Trish Stratus is back, and she says, "Gosh, it's good to see you too." It's wonderful to see you as well, Trish. Thanks for stopping by. Make sure that like button and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's talk Alex Collins. Matt, you have him in the top 20 spot. I have him at 31. What is it about his recent performances that make you think, yeah, this is the guy? I want this guy in my top 20.
Well, still no Chris Carson, right? So that's a big factor. Yep. Rashad Penny has not looked any better than Collins. Collins has looked better than him, in my opinion. Russell Wilson coming back off of a finger injury, probably going to be trying to protect him a bit.
Less running, though?
More running.
More running
than normal for us. Like, I mean, you're not going to want to expose him too much, right? Like in the rushing, or in the passing game, if he's coming back off of a finger injury.
So here's my concern with him. He's a player that I've had because I have Chris Carson on the team, so I did have the handcuff. Last 2 games, he's had 39 and 47% snap count. So he's not even playing half the snaps. He is averaging about 13 touches, but they're all on the ground, and he's getting less than 40 yards on average. So in a PPR or standard, you're looking at somebody who's scoring you about 4 points because he's not pitching in with the receptions. Now, could he go for 80? Sure. But he hasn't been pitching in the passing game. And because of that, unless he has a monster game against a Green Bay defense that has looked better as of late than they've had in the past. And they've been like, ever since the Cardinals game, I've been like, wow, this is not the same, Civ defense that's been out there to just like get run over by everyone. So I don't think this is that great of a matchup. I think the way the Packers have played lately, snow game is probably going to help the yardage go up a bit for Alex Collins. But I think most of the people that play in Green Bay are pretty used to it. So I don't really think it's going to go up that much. Maybe he gets an extra 10 yards. Maybe he's at 60 yards. But if he doesn't catch any passes on a PPR scale, he's not putting up points compared to other people that I would have well above him. So that's my concern, is that he's not catching passes. The yardage numbers, even though the touches have been good, the yardage numbers have not.
Fair enough.
Ramondre Stevenson, who is active. Matt, you do not like him anywhere near as much as you like Alex Collins. I have him about where you have Alex Collins. What is it that you don't like about this? Do you think Brandon Bolden comes in and this is a split?
Yeah, I don't think he's just going to be like the bell cow today.
I think he will be. He's played so well as of late. I remember the one run he had last game where he was just shoving guys off of him. And I mean, as a coach, you got to like the fact that he's fighting for as many yards as he can get. I think he's looked good. I liked his tape coming into the year. Obviously, the Patriots running back situation is always one to avoid. But I do think today is Ramondre Day. And I think against, I don't know who they're playing. I think it's Carolina.
Cleveland. Yeah.
Cleveland. I think this is a good matchup. Mixon had a decent run game against them as well. I like Stevenson as the guy.
It's just, I mean, you never know with New England. And he just cleared concussion protocol this morning. Like, I don't know. I just don't know if he's going to get like the full 100% of that Damian Harris would get if he was there.
But Damian Harris hasn't been getting anywhere near 100% either. And he's been doing what he's been doing with his load. But I just think that he gets the Damian Harris share, whatever that really is. Just looking at the stats here for Damien Harris the last couple of weeks. Of course, he gives me nausea. Do I not know how to spell Harris? Like, why would you not give me Damien Harris?
I don't know.
That is very odd.
If that helps you.
Pardon me?
Harris.
That's how it's spelled. It's the same way as Najee, right?
Yes.
So I don't know why they showed me one but not the other. Anyways, so here we go. Damien Harris, last 2 games, 39% snap count, 53% snap count. If you go back further, it's 46. 54 is his high, second highest on the year. He had 61 against the Bucs. So, yes, he is getting the touches, 15, 23, 14, 18. Mm-hmm. But I do think that those touches go to Ramondre today.
I'm just not 100% sold on it. I mean, I've got Ramondre in my lineup and a couple just out of necessity, but we'll see.
Guys, how do we feel about San Bernardino's finest, Alexander Mattison, today? I don't know why you'd be considering starting him. Dalvin Cook has not been charged with anything yet, and he is playing today, unless I'm mistaken.
No, he's playing. He's in.
It's tough to always pick what like a backup running back's role is going to be on a certain day, unless you feel it's going to be a blowout and they'll go to him. I don't think this game will be a blowout. I could see it being high scoring, back and forth, very good action-packed game this afternoon, unless I'm mistaken on when it is. But no, I don't see Mattison having, barring like a vulturing of a touchdown, I don't see any reason why you would start Mattison. Second question from Trish Stratus. Sorry, go ahead, Matt.
I just said, or a Cook injury.
Right, yeah, but you're gambling on just factors you have no control over at this point. Like, you're just hoping. Beautiful head of hair. Will his play be beautiful as well? Okay. Once again, banking on a backup running back to do something, unless you think it's going to be a game script where they either he's the passing back and they're going to pass a lot, or there's going to be a blowout and you feel like they're going to go with him. So one of the reasons I like Tony Pollard this week is I do think that the Cowboys, after last week's complete flop, will come and just put the boots to the Falcons today. And as a result, we'll see a lot more Pollard, especially with Zeke coming off the injury or hurt or whatever he tweaked last game. So that's why I like him. But to say Mattison in the close game is going to do something, who knows? Could be another OT game. Minnesota likes those OT games. So, Question from Tug Speedman. My team sucks. I need to worry about next year. Thoughts on Antonio Gibson as a 6th round keeper? That seems okay. I don't think it's great value or terrible value. He's probably going to go in, the 4th next year?
Yeah, I mean, this should obviously heal up over the offseason, I'm sure. But, yeah, the McKissick situation there is not great. So hopefully they get rid of him. And then if they do, then Gibson's a great keeper in round 6. I've got him as a round 8
somebody else in.
What's that?
Unless they bring somebody else in.
Yeah, but I mean, Gibson should be a pass catcher. Like, he was a receiver in college. Like,
yes, I don't understand. This is McKissick's last year under contract. He is, it says 28 and 30 days old. I guess that's how they do years on here. So I mean, how much mileage he has left? He's probably still got a couple years, and they probably will extend him unless he gets a better deal somewhere else. But yeah, they haven't used Gibson the best. If you're in a dynasty league, he'd be a nice buy low candidate. But 6th round seems to be kind of, you're not getting that great of a deal on him anymore.
You're probably getting like you said, about 2 to 3 round value.
Yeah. So you're getting value, but I mean, if you're hoping for keeping somebody in the 17th round or 12th round, that would go in the 2nd or 3rd. Like, you think of where Jamar Chase would have went this year, probably close to like the 9 or 10s, and he'll probably be like a 3rd round guy next year at worst. So you should be looking for more value there. So feel free to name other players you have and what rounds, and we'll let you know what's better. Dustin Holland is here. Good morning, fellas. AJ Dillon or Michael Carter flex standard? That's standard. Michael Carter still.
Yeah, but it's closer being standard, but it's still
if it was PPR, it would not be close. Beautiful Trish Stratus is here. Injury and buy problems is why he has Mattison. What's on the waiver wire? Maybe we can get you to pick up somebody on the waiver wire and get a better spot there. Good morning, Mr. Speedman. Nice to see you. Looks like Trish and Speedman might be having something here. We have Munir N saying Javonte Williams or Van Jefferson or McKissick. I would love to know if this is PPR or not.
I think
if it is PPR, anyway. I'm liking McKissick.
I'm thinking it's Williams regardless.
Could be. It's a safe.
Definitely not Van Jefferson.
You don't think Van Jefferson, with Beckham having not been there that long, he could be the number 2?
No, I don't think so.
McKissick with the high upside in PPR, but Javonte Williams is the safest play here. It is half PPR, he says. Yeah, let's go Javonte Williams.
I say Javonte Williams, yeah.
He says Higbee or Freiermuth. Oh, this is interesting now because we have Ben's out and Woods is out. So, like, what is Rudolph going to do? I don't know. I go Higbee just because I think Rudolph absolutely sucks. Like, I don't even know why he's a backup quarterback in the league. Like, get somebody else.
I guess without Robert Woods, is Higbee the number 2 now, maybe?
Could be. And again, I'm trusting that ahead of what I'm trusting with Freiermuth and Mason Rudolph.
Yeah.
So give me some Higbee. It's a wasteland on the waiver wire. Like when you open the fridge and all that's left is some sour milk. That's sad. Matt says, yo, guys, Odell, McKissick, Gallup, Elijah Moore, full PPR. Thanks, guys.
I think it's McKissick.
I think it's McKissick, then Odell, and probably more. Gallup has to be last for me. I mean, I don't know what this offense looks like with Gallup. I think it just kind of hurts everybody else. And
yeah, I mean, let's go McKissick. And then I'd be okay going Moore over Odell and Gallup. It just seems like that there's going to be targets there. I mean, assuming the Jets get blown out, which they should.
Full PPR gives Elijah Moore a lot more because Elijah Moore's yardage numbers have not been very good, but you can see him getting the targets today, and he can have a 6 for 60 day, and you'll be okay. That's pretty good. But I'd still bank on the upside of Odell. I think he has something to prove. I think he's going to go out there, and I think he's going to possibly score a touchdown. I don't know how much they use him though, so McKissick is still our pick. McKissick, is
like with Odell, he could play like 20% of the snaps because they just have like 10 plays for him, and that's it.
Dirty Money has pick one: Thielen, McLaurin, or Deebo. How are you only picking one? What's the rest of your team look like? It's McLaurin for me. I believe it might be Deebo for you.
Yeah, I get why you're a little shy with Ramsey maybe following around Deebo. That's
I'm not worried about that. I think Ramsey actually plays more of kind of like an everywhere game today.
I think he's going to go Kittle, to be honest.
Could be as well. I'm not worried about him being on Deebo full game. Because I know early in the season they were using him kind of like more in a tackling role, like kind of like a safety DB split if they didn't have anybody for him to cover. And he did really well there. My fear is that the 49ers aren't the best passing team. And the reason we've seen good passing numbers from people like Kittle, like Ayuk, and like Deebo is because the rest of the cast was unhealthy, injured. When Kittle was there by himself, he would get big numbers.
Oh, yeah.
When Deebo was there, he would get decent numbers, and Kittle would still get his numbers. Last year, when Deebo missed a bunch of time and Kittle missed a bunch of time, Ayuk dominated. This year, it's been all Deebo up until the last game where Kittle and Ayuk were both involved. So I think it's going to become less and less of a situation where Deebo is like a for sure fire top 10 player. I just don't see him being that anymore. If you have him, he'd be a good player to sell high. Hopefully he still has a good game today where he doesn't lose too much value, but he's a player that I don't think is going to keep what he did early in the season for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's definitely not Thielen out of those three. That's for sure. I have Deebo a little bit higher than McLaurin, but they're pretty close.
It's McLaurin for me. They're going to be passing because the Bucs are going to put up 40 on them.
And so you can't run against Tampa Bay. That's the other thing.
Yeah, you're going to get a lot of short passes to McKissick, which is why we've been pretty high on McKissick today because of that matchup. If it was a different matchup, wouldn't be the case. Trish Stratus asks, is Jarvis Landry going to compete this week? He is, but you have to remember that Baker sucks.
Okay.
And he cost me money last week because I needed Landry to get more catches. And he didn't because he only got 3 because Baker decided to pass 2 passes to everybody on the team.
Oh, spread it around.
He's starting A.J. Brown and Diggs. Okay, what I don't know how many teams are in this league, Dirty Money, but what you need to do if your trade deadline has not passed is package a couple of these players for some more because this is too much depth at wide receiver.
Yeah.
So you're only starting 2. You have A.J. Brown and Diggs and McLaurin. Like Deebo would be a great player to trade. You could package him with Thielen for maybe a running back or package him Thielen and one of your running backs for running back. You have too much depth. Not all 5 of these players are going to get injured. So you should be fine to trade 1, if not 2 away in order to improve your team in an area where it's weaker. Even if that area is tight end, like if you're trading Deebo for an upgrade at tight end, it's fine because you still have Thielen or McLaurin to decide between every week. So, Matt, anything to add there?
No, like, yeah, it's just obviously depend on what you're like at tight ends. I wouldn't go any lower than like outside of Kels, Waller, Kittle, Andrews, Pitts, maybe Hawkinson. Like I wouldn't.
Yeah, that's the end of it. You're not going to go with Fant or Goddard or Knox. Like you don't want. No. If you have one of those guys, then maybe you look for the upgrade. But you're paying a lot for that upgrade by giving away Deebo.
Yeah,
but it could be an 8-team league. Who knows?
Right.
Let's talk about Zach Moss. Matt, I have both the Bills backs back to back. I have Zach Moss one spot ahead, but I could see Singletary being ahead. You have a bigger gap. You have Zach Moss at 37. Meanwhile, you have Devin Singletary
27.
Way higher.
I've got it up 27.
Why the gap? That's my only question here. Why the gap? Why do you think Zach Moss, who is cleared to play, will not be in the same ballpark as Singletary today?
Yeah, again, concussion protocol, just got out of it, I think, this morning, maybe late yesterday, but I think it was just today, actually. Just trust Singletary more for the touches and the catches. Even we've talked about this before, even when Buffalo is way up, which they should be, but you never know after they lost to the Jags last week. They just don't
points.
Yeah, they don't run a ton, but I think Singletary is more the receiving back, so I would lean more on Singletary if I had to pick between the two today. Zach, they're going to eat into each other, though. Like it's
for sure. It's never been a good situation. It's always been one where every year, beginning of the season, you get one of these guys. You're hopeful that one of these guys is going to take the reins and go, and then they both end up sucking for the whole season. And like Singletary will have a week, Moss will have a week, but they'll be few and far between, and these guys just kind of rot on your bench. Last week I thought was a great time to start Zach Moss. He got hurt early on, and
they also didn't. The game script went sideways on them too.
But Singletary had 7 catches. So I mean, if you're playing in any type of PPR league, Zach Moss would have been, maybe getting 3 or 4 catches. Deebo Samuel. So we just talked about this a little bit, so we're not going to spend too much time on it. Matt, you have him at 6. I have him at 17. So let's talk about trading Deebo Samuel away. If you were to trade Deebo Samuel away, I'll put up the rankings that we have here. I'll get the rest of the season wide receiver rankings. These are my wide receiver rankings, not Matt's. So Matt will probably complain about several of them. But where would you, if you were trading away Deebo Samuel, who I have at 12 overall, who would you be looking to get back as a wide receiver?
Like out of the guys that I'd be okay trading him for Jefferson, which you have below.
Okay. Jefferson has not done much this year.
No, he hasn't, and I do feel like that's going to change though.
Okay, what about DJ Moore now that Cam the man is back in blue and black?
No. I would keep Deebo over DJ Moore.
The Bucs?
Evans and Cooper would be interesting, not Godwin.
Not Godwin. That's interesting.
No.
What about this guy?
No, I couldn't do it. I feel like that's going to stop at some point.
I don't think it is. Not with Ridley gone. I
know it's not, but I just can't get myself over it.
It's just remember when he was drafted? He was drafted very highly to be a wide receiver.
Yeah.
He turned into a half running back, half wide receiver after playing a lot of special teams. I don't think it stops. I think it works for them. The gadget player who catches balls and who's like half running back, like he's a hybrid, right? Like it's a new position.
It's really strange. Like I don't.
Well,
it just seems weird to me that someone that was drafted like 8 years ago or whatever just turned good this year.
Well, I don't think it's his usage, right? Here's the thing. Yeah, he was drafted as a wide receiver. He sucks at running routes, just absolutely sucks at running routes. But when he has the ball in his hands, he is big, he is strong, he is fast. So somebody decided, I think it was Bill Belichick, let's play him at running back. Because when he's good with the ball in his hands, we struggle to get the ball in his hands. So special teams make sense. And now in this role where he's half running back, half wide receiver, he gets a lot of his targets out of the backfield, and then he gets some, off the line. So it's the perfect kind of role for him, for his talent. So they're maximizing what he can do. I'll let you think about that if you have any more.
Chase, I would probably be okay trading for Deebo. Yeah.
We have Bo Ryan Curtin asking Godwin or Terry. That's Terry for me all day. I don't trust Godwin to be 100%, but I do
I've got
trust
Terry as well.
Terry. I don't think this is close. I think Terry has a big game. There's nobody else to throw there. I think I saw that. No, I guess they don't really have just De'Ami Brown as the other wide receiver. They still don't have Logan Thomas back, so Ricky Seals-Jones going again today. But Terry's going to have to get so many targets because the Bucs are going to score a ton.
They got McKissick is probably the number 2 receiving threat.
Yep, and then it's probably Gibson, or I guess Ricky Seals-Jones might be 3, then Gibson. Maybe. So there it is, the answer to the Deebo Samuel question. Matt would trade him for Justin Jefferson. What about Jamar Chase?
Yeah, I said Chase. I would do it as well.
So assuming Ben comes back off of COVID, you'd rather have Deontay Johnson in a PPR league rest of the season than Deebo?
That's really close. I'd probably keep Deebo.
I prefer the PPR upside with Deontay Johnson. Not today, but I mean, there's no one there. Claypool's hurt again.
Yeah.
They lost. Like, I get Freiermuth or
Najee Harris is a target monster.
He is, but I mean, they went from having 6 guys to target to down to like 3. I don't worry about James Washington's targets.
No, I know.
So you have basically 3 guys, and Deontay's the number 1, and then it's Najee, and then it's the tight end.
They're very close. I mean, for sure. I mean, you've got them 2 spots apart. I don't disagree with that. They're very close.
I have them in different tiers, though, Matt. Come on, pay attention here. All right, let's move on to a player that we haven't talked about at all today, that we're going to get to right after Trish asked his comment. When do we expect to see Kamara and Hunt back in action? What's Kamara's injury?
I believe it was knee. They didn't really go into any further than that.
They did say he could play without practicing, so I don't think it's that scary of an injury. That was a talk all week, so I can see him being back next week. I don't know what Hunt's situation is. I haven't looked into that in a while. He's been out for like at least
I think they said about 4 to 6 when he got hurt. How many weeks has he been out? I think this was week 3 anyway.
On Tuesday, October 18, the Browns placed the running back on injured reserve, meaning he'll miss at least the next 3 games. I think he's timeline anywhere from week 11 to week 13.
So it could be as early as next week.
Yeah, or it could be just for the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, they're saying they have the bye week in week 13, so they could wait until week 14.
Yeah, I mean, especially if Johnson continues to perform, like they could just.
Yeah, I mean, Johnson has been solid
with Chubb and Johnson, and like Chubb will be back next week, most likely. I mean, whether or not, again, COVID affects everyone a little bit differently, so whether or not Chubb is still Chubb after that, like. See, but if there's a problem with Chubb, then I could see them bringing Hunt back a little bit sooner. And then Kamara, I would say probably next week.
There you have it. And now we're going to talk about the player whose name has not been mentioned on the show, not once today. That's Cordarrelle Patterson.
Yeah.
So I have him at 11, Matt. As I mentioned, like this role just suits him. In a PPR league, he's going to get catches. He's going to get touched out of the backfield. I believe his over-under on the betting line was about 90 total yards. So you have him at 24. I have him at 11 in the wide receivers.
Yeah,
why is it that you like so many guys, including Jarvis Landry, ahead of him?
Yeah, he's just Jarvis, I mean, I think without Odell there to steal targets, we'll say.
Yeah, that didn't happen last week. He had 3.
Yeah, I just don't I think that Patterson is going to be like the focal point of the D aside from like Kyle Pitts. So he's going to start drawing more attention to himself. I just don't love it. I'm still starting him top 24, but just don't have a lot of love for him. I'm just looking at other guys.
At some point, you just have to understand that it's a thing. It's happening. All right. It's not week 4. We're like, okay, this is going to happen for a week or 2. It's week 10, and he's been going pretty much all season long.
He has. Just looking if there's anybody I would move. Not really. Like, yeah, you mentioned Jarvis, who's one spot there, but that's about it. But it's funny. Like, we both have him a lot closer for running backs. I'm just looking at that.
Yeah, it's because there's a lot of way crappier running backs.
Yeah.
I mean, like running back just drops off, whereas like wide receiver holds its step for a long time, and you can go all the way down and see a guy like Chris Godwin, who I think will be a decoy today, which is why I have him at 31. Matt, you have him at 15. You think he's 100% all systems go. No Gronk, no Antonio Brown. So yeah, I mean the opportunity should be there if he's 100%. But if I have anybody who's half decent, and so like I'm not talking about like an Alan Lazard, but I'm talking about
poor Alan Lazard. He's got a touchdown in 3 straight games.
I know. I mentioned that in the column this week about why you should be looking to pick him up.
No,
but it's just not, consistent enough. If I had somebody like, just looking at the rankings here, I think it would have to be like a Devonta Smith. I think it's kind of like the last point where I'd be like, okay, I'm going to go with Devonta Smith over this guy. Or Hunter Renfrow in PPR, because Hunter Renfrow in PPR is going to get you that 6-8 catches for very few yards. I think I have Ayuk one spot ahead of Chris Godwin, and that's kind of like where it gets really close as to what I would do with.
I don't know. I don't think like the decoy guys are usually ones that just don't practice all week. He practiced on Friday, so not buying the decoy thing.
Well, I don't think he's ready to go. I think he's soft.
Like if Hopkins, for example, plays this afternoon, that's a decoy. Yeah.
But I mean, Hopkins is so good though; he might just catch 2 touchdowns.
He's not supposed to play anyway, but
no, neither is their quarterback. Correct?
No, they're both expected to be out again. Yeah,
that's gonna wrap it up for versus. So now we're gonna talk about some trade targets. It is that time of year. Your trade deadline could be this week, could be next week, could be the week after. That's probably about it. 10, 11, 12 is usually where it's gonna be. Matt, who would you be looking to target at running back, somebody who you feel is undervalued by the fantasy football community that you would be looking to target in a trade?
Well, this is something you could have given me a little bit of heads up about.
So again, pull up the rest of the season rankings so you can get a list and see. Of course, these rankings are available on BlueDuckFantasy.com. We have rest of season rankings. We have weekly rankings. We have some dynasty rankings that definitely need some updating. And then here we go, Matt. Who do you like? Who do you feel is being?
I thought you're going to put your rankings on the screen so I could look.
Fine, there you go.
All right.
What about this guy?
I mean, I guess if I don't believe it yet, then I guess there's going to be others that don't.
I think you're the only one. You're the last one. You're the last holdout of the fantasy community who doesn't believe in Cordarrelle Patterson.
I still have him as a starter, so you can't say I don't believe it altogether.
Chase Brooks says Dynasty League, so don't ask why I have both, but Josh Allen or Brady. I'm Brady all day. Brady was my number one. I believe you have Allen at number one, though.
I think I had Allen as 1 or 2, maybe.
It's Brady all day against the worst pass team.
I have Allen as number 2. I had big Lamar Jackson as number 1.
You have Tom Brady at 6. I have my 1. So my pick is Tom Brady.
Mine's Josh Allen, but they are very close. Both of them should do really well today. I just like the rushing upside with Allen.
And I just like the matchup for Brady.
Yeah, well, that could be a Leonard Fournette day. You don't have to worry about with the Bills. It's not going to be like a Devin Singletary or Zack Moss day.
No, it's not. But I mean, when's it ever really been a Leonard Fournette day? Like Brady's been pretty good all year. So
could be.
Coming off the 9-6 game,
yeah, no, I know. He's going to be angry today.
So I'll give you one person who's probably valued a lot lower in most cases, and that's Chris Carson, who was almost ready to go this week. People have just kind of forgotten about him because he hasn't played in so long. I've seen trade charts where his value has just been absolutely sinking, where you could get him for, I saw you could probably get him for, Myles Gaskin was ranked ahead of him. And I mean, in no way, no world is Myles Gaskin a more valuable fantasy asset than Chris Carson.
Yeah.
Even Chris Carson injured on your bench is probably a better spot than having Myles Gaskin's 3 points, as I found out many times this year, especially this week, plugging him into a lineup. I'd much rather have Chris Carson. And I think his value is so low that you could probably trade him for a Myles Gaskin, maybe, or one of these two guys might be able to get him.
Yep, the Denver backs. Yeah,
I don't think this would get him, but this might right now. If you don't need a running
that'll
back,
for sure get him right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like Clyde Edwards-Helaire would be another player that I think would be someone to target.
Yeah, I've never been the biggest fan of his. And like you've seen what they've done running the ball, and the team just hasn't looked right. But yeah, he's not bad. I don't disagree. I think he'd be fine. And you can get him probably for about the same price, which is like you probably would get more out of just trading James Conner for Clyde. You'd probably get another piece.
Yep, I think so. Right now, for sure.
All right, so let's talk some wide receivers to target in trades that you feel are being undervalued. And I think you might go with Justin Jefferson here as somebody who you feel is going to have a better last bit of the season than he did.
I think Jefferson's going to come on here for sure.
Okay. You don't think DJ Moore with Cam back is going to be...
I think right around there is probably where he should be, though. Like, it's not low. Like, I think Jefferson should be like top 10 anyway. So,
what about Mike Williams? Were you buying, selling, or holding Mike Williams?
If I can sell him, I still will.
What do you need back? Adam Thielen?
I don't know. I think I would rather have Michael Pittman right now than Mike Williams. Okay,
so Michael Pittman has done really well, mostly in games where T.Y. hasn't been there. T.Y. coming back might get hurt again, as he has been doing a lot recently. But do you worry about that when it's him, Hilton, and Pascal out there? He's just not going to get the volume he's going to get?
No, I'm still okay with Pittman. T.Y.'s just fallen off. Even when he's there, I don't think he's going to take like a ton. He might just take some coverage away. That's it. There's another one I just saw which is going to surprise you because I don't care for him that much, is Tyler Lockett with Russ back.
Yeah, I'm going to have to do this. Sorry. I don't know why Matt would like Tyler Lockett like that. I have to remove him from the show for saying that. I don't know if he can hear me, but we'll bring him back. Tyler Lockett, what's wrong with you? Come on. This is not a Tyler Lockett show. We hate Tyler Lockett here.
I know, but hey, Russell Wilson just came back. His value is low with the Geno Smith, but except for the last game where he had really good numbers.
Exactly. I don't see his value being low.
Well, wide receiver 29. He's probably, but I'd rather have him than like.
Well, these are my rankings where I dislike Tyler Lockett. Yeah. I'm sure if you look at
you have Robert Woods ahead of him. Like, what's wrong with you?
Oh yeah, that it says updated on the 9th. He didn't get injured before then. That'll be updated for next week.
There's a couple of questions there.
We got Derek Riel asking full PPR, Jarvis Landry or Mike Williams. I'm going Mike Williams.
Yeah, I'll still go Mike Williams there.
Stroke My Eagle says, need a guy to rub out a big batch for me today. Is Gallup getting it done? No.
It depends on what your other options are, but short answer.
He's not rubbing out a big batch. And the person asking the next question has the answer, and it's no. Panthers D or Steelers D, Matt?
Steelers.
And then he also asked Titans D or Rams D.
Well, the Saints without Kamara, right? Their offenses should be pretty limited.
I think Ingram will fill in nicely for him, actually. Somebody we haven't talked a lot about. I think
he doesn't have the same skill set, though. Like, he's not going to be able to catch balls like Kamara.
He catches balls just fine. You're underestimating what this man has done catching balls.
I'll still say Rams.
Yes, I would agree. It's Rams as well. Thanks for the questions, no, and thanks for asking Stroke My Eagles question. Okay. So wide receiver you're looking to trade for, you said Michael Pittman would be a good one?
Pittman, I think, would be a good one based off of your chart there. And if Lockett is that low on somebody's rankings, like wide receiver 30, I think he is a good 7-8 spots ahead of that for most people.
Probably. So you'd be looking at paying Mike Williams value for him.
Yeah, I mean, if I could get Lockett for like Higgins or Claypool or something. Well, Claypool's a bad example because he's hurt too, but I was just looking at
Higgins for Lockett is probably a trade you can make anywhere.
Yeah.
I would rather have Higgins, just because I know that offense is more consistent. Is there a quarterback or tight end that you are like, I would love to get this guy in a trade? He's just about to fire through the roof. Often tougher with quarterbacks and tight ends because like, if you got a decent one, you got a decent one. You don't really quarterbacks don't really change that much from the start of the season to the end of the season.
If you have somebody that's low on like Hawkinson, maybe.
Yeah. And again, that's going to be about it. You could be somebody I was talking to somebody on Instagram who was asking me what they should do. They had a situation where they had Pitts and Kittle, and they asked if they should drop Kittle. And I said, no, just trade him. He couldn't flex him. It was a wide receiver and RB only, but he had both. And I just didn't understand how he wasn't trading one of them.
Right. And
he was quite excited when I told him he should go trade Kittle. He's like, oh yeah, that's definitely what I'll do. So
yeah, that's kind of weird. I was talking to somebody that had Hawkinson was on their bench. They were benching him for Dawson Knox, and then they were trying to trade for Kels on top of that. I was just like, you don't need to do that, but okay.
Question here from Tug Speedman. What are your thoughts on Cam Newton moving forward this year and next? Will he induce blood flow to the nether regions? Not a lot of blood flow. Will he even be there next year? I thought he signed just a 1 year.
He just signed a 1 year, yeah.
So he has to get on the field, which I don't think will be difficult for him to do, because I think they're going to hold Sam Darnold out as long as possible. And I think PJ Walker is not an NFL quarterback.
They were saying, actually, I read this morning that the Panthers believe that Darnold's done for the year.
And very likely. So Cam Newton's basically getting an audition for what he's going to be able to do. Yeah. He has a lot of good weapons around him, so his numbers can look really good. But does he still have it? We saw what he did last year with the Patriots, and he was basically like a running back who threw occasionally, which worked for fantasy purposes for a lot of early on in the season, but it just kind of fell off as teams caught on to it. He won't have that ability to do that here because he'll have to pass. He'll have to get the ball to Christian McCaffrey. He'll have to get the ball to DJ Moore. And hopefully, Robbie Anderson can start not dropping everything.
Hopefully he can still throw a little bit better, but
I wouldn't be excited for him next year, and I wouldn't be looking to add him outside of 2 quarterback leagues this year.
No, me neither.
He's getting an audition for what he's going to do next year, but he's getting older, and he probably doesn't have that many miles left. He might have another couple seasons where he can maybe start for a bad team and put up fantasy numbers, but it is not worth more than, say, a third in a dynasty league, and that's high.
I would say, I would hold out more hope for Taysom Hill than Cam.
Okay. I mean, they're both I don't know.
They're similar style, but I think Simeon's just eventually going to get benched in New Orleans.
And I think, Winston's done in New Orleans too. I think the Saints have to just look outside the organization for their quarterback.
I'm not talking about next year. I'm talking about the rest of this year.
Oh, you're talking about Simeon versus Newton rest of the year? Or
no,
you're talking
Hill
about
versus Newton, yeah.
Okay, I like that. I'll go Hill over Newton rest of the year for sure. In a dynasty format, they're very close because I doubt that Hill could be a starting quarterback for very long. Yeah. And I doubt that Cam Newton could be a starting quarterback for very long. And I don't know what Taysom Hill's contract is. I think he might be they restructured it so he got $300 million. That was just fake.
Yeah, it was really strange. Yeah, it was a really weird. I never saw how it actually broke down, but I remember it being a fake contract, like you said.
All right, enough Cam Newton talk. We got another question here from the War King: Landry, Hunter Renfrow, or Michael Carter. Would love to know if that's PPR or standard or not, but I think I'm going to go with Michael Carter above everybody else.
I think it's Michael Carter regardless of scoring.
Yeah. KH says OBJ, Jarvis Landry, or AJ Green. I'll go Jarvis Landry.
Yeah. Safest.
Dr. Clutch is back. Good morning, fellas. Dr. Clutch, how you doing? Bears fan in the building with their number 1 wide receiver, Darnell Mooney, in his pick. We got Trish Stratus saying, who do you think you are? I am play of the week. Matt, this is your question. You are the expert here. You got it right one time, so I always just go to you.
You defer to me. I want to pick someone that we are far apart on that.
I think Najee Harris would be a pretty good one. I think
he
might be a little bit
been good. It's someone that hasn't been that great. That's I'm coming out now.
What about DJ Moore?
Yeah, I'm not. I want to see PJ Walker do it first before I would go that far. I'll have to come back to that.
Trish will come back to your question. Trish says, good morning, Dr. And Working says PPR. Yeah, we're still going with Michael Carter.
Yeah.
Even in PPR, the Renfrow Landry would be close, but it's definitely Michael Carter as a number 1. So I'm just looking through the rankings, trying to find the who do you think you are? I am player of the week. And you know what I'm going to go with? I'm going to go Tony Pollard.
Okay. There you go.
Tony Pollard is going to tell Zeke, who do you think you are? I am.
There
Mark
you go.
Ingram also could be another one. I think he has a really good game today.
I don't think he'll catch anyone off guard.
Matt's going to go with Alex Collins. That's going to be his pick.
Sure.
Ramondre Stevenson, another good one.
Yeah, I think that's a really good pick, actually. I like that one.
There it is. Consensus, Ramondre Stevenson. Antonio Gibson would have been a guy to go with, but I don't think he does well today. So
not against that Bucs run defense. If they started using him like they should, then sure.
What to do with Odell Beckham this week? We've had a couple people ask, should they start Odell Beckham? We have yet to pick Odell Beckham as a start this week. We both have him barely inside the top 40. Matt, what are you doing with Odell Beckham this week? Don't answer right away. First, answer a newest question. Please, who should I start? Pittman at the Jags or Terry at the Bucs? Terry at the Bucs.
Terry at the Bucs.
Yeah. Terry at the Bucs. Pittman at the Jags should be pretty good too. Who else are you starting?
Both are good starts.
Now back to the question, Matt. What to do with Odell Beckham this week? Obviously, he's not as good as Pittman. Nowhere near as good as Terry at the Bucs. Do appreciate your question. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe. So what are you doing with Odell Beckham? With Robert Woods out, he got to the practice facility, I believe, Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, Friday.
Playing on Monday. Probably isn't going to see that much action.
Yeah, I mean, I would bench him in majority of leagues. Obviously, just depending on how many, flexes and things like that, and injuries and buys you have. But I mean, we both have him outside the top 36 wide receivers, so you're generally not going to start him.
Yeah, it would go very much against any type of script if they were to bring him out, let him play the full game, and have him had a monster game. Like, it would be so unexpected because, number one, he doesn't know the playbook. Is he just going to run, like, streaks down the field and they're just going to try to hit him? Like, they got rid of Deshaun Jackson because they weren't using him. So I don't see Odell Beckham's not faster than Deshaun Jackson, even at Deshaun Jackson being 45 years old or whatever he is. Anuna, thank you so much. Thanks for the sub. Trish is back. The show has been electric today. The Blue Duck boys are feeling the flow. Bars in the tuck. I'm starting a banged up Zeke in my league that gives 1 point for 10 return yards. Should I start Pollard with him or Darrell Williams in his expected workload with Gore lurking? Full PPR. Thanks. I love me some Pollard this week. Have him in my DFS. Bet on him in a prop. I do think that Tony Pollard is going to get a lot of usage because of, number one, a banged up Zeke, and number two, they're going to blow out the Falcons.
Does Pollard return kicks? I should probably know that, but I don't know.
Yeah, you're supposed to be a special teams expert.
Yeah, I'm going to guess he does since the question came up.
Yeah, and as a result of that, it's even more reason to start Pollard over Darrell Williams.
Having said that, I'd still start Zeke over Pollard.
Nobody's saying that. That's not the question. He's starting a banged up Zeke. He's asking if you should start Pollard with him or Darrell Williams and his expected workload.
Well, Gore was not a thing last week.
Was not.
I told you he wasn't going to be.
But, I mean, was Darrell Williams even a thing last week? That was a pretty low-scoring, uneventful game between your team and how'd you think of – let's talk about your quarterback after this question. Let's talk about him.
Sure.
So Pollard, Darrell Williams, answer the question, please.
Sure, let's go. Well, actually, I'm going to stick with Darrell Williams because, return yards are what? Kickoffs are very rarely returned.
Yeah.
So, and I doubt he does punts. Maybe he does, but still, that's most of those are fair catches. So I would still go with Darrell Williams.
Okay. Derek Riel has a question here. Standard scoring Pollard or Brandon Bolden? Tony Pollard, baby. Give me Tony Pollard.
Sure. I'll go with that against Bolden because Ramondre's playing.
Griffin Johnson says, do I start Landry, Jacoby Myers, or Elijah Moore? I'll go with Jarvis Landry in that one, regardless of scoring format. In PPR, Elijah Moore would be second.
Yeah, agreed.
So let's talk about Jordan Love. Your thoughts on Jordan Love's first start against one of the worst defenses in the league last week? Go.
I didn't overreact like a lot of Twitter did. I thought he was decent. Had some bad throws, but had some decent throws too. I expected a little bit better about pre-snap reads. I thought he'd be a little bit more solid on that but Matt LaFleur kind of bit the bullet on that. Maybe that was legit. Maybe it probably wasn't. He's probably just trying to protect him. But I thought there was some decent signs. Towards the end of the game, he started looking a lot better. Not overly concerned over that. I'm sure you're expecting me to react like a crazy person, but I would not.
Who starts for the Green Bay Packers in 2022 at quarterback?
I'm going to say Jordan Love.
And what do you think the final record will be at the end of the season if Jordan Love plays all season? And
that's hard to say. I mean, because I think Adams is probably going to be gone too, and Zadarius Smith will probably be gone, which he hasn't played this year, so not a huge difference. But I will say they won't be like 13-3. They'll probably be like 500 team.
Okay. Dr. Clutch got the question. Could DJ Moore be a bad play today? No, I don't think he's a worse play than he was last week. I think if anything, PJ Walker gives him a slight boost. Nothing huge. It's not like I just think PJ Walker will look for his guys. And who are they playing again?
Arizona.
Arizona.
With no Kyler Murray.
And probably no. But, I mean, they looked great against the 49ers last week. So.
I don't think DJ Moore got hurt by the quarterback switch at all.
Slight boost.
Yeah.
Trish Stratus is back. What games will we be watching and we'll be enjoying some ice cold beers? No beers for me today. What games will we be watching, Matt? What game will you be watching?
Well, in the late window, I think we all know which game I'm watching, but
the Panthers Cardinals to see PJ Walker.
Oh yeah, that's
the Viking Chargers game should be pretty good in the evening, Nate. The Packers Seahawks game, always a rivalry. Matt hates everything to do with the Seahawks.
I really don't like Pete Carroll. Yeah.
I don't know why. He seems like a likable guy. He's always smiling.
I
don't know why you have beef with an 80-year-old man, but I guess you do.
I just think he acts like a clown.
All right. Who wins in a fight, you or Pete Carroll?
Oh, I don't know. Probably Pete Carroll's probably better shape than I am, so I'll go with Pete Carroll.
Who wins in a race?
Pete Carroll easily. Well, do I get a car?
No.
No. Okay, then no.
I mean, even in a car, I'm sure he has a faster car than you.
I might win in like I don't know how he can skate, but maybe I can win on like hockey skates.
Okay, fair enough.
But I'm not that fast anyway. But I feel like if you have never skated, I can probably beat you.
That's fair. Okay, Matt. Question. Basically, Trish is asking what are the best 5 games in the early slate. But before we get to that, we have Greg. I'm not even going to try the last name. Greg C saying start one PPR, Cole Beasley, Jerry Jeudy, Devonta Smith. Give me Devonta Smith.
I'll take Jerry Jeudy.
Ryan N says hi. Hi, Ryan N.
I'm going to assume there's a question coming right away.
Probably. I think Saints Titans will be a good game. This should not be, but I mean, the Bills game last shouldn't have been last week. Singletary or Dan Arnold PPR?
I'll go Singletary.
I'll go Singletary as well. I don't think Dan Arnold's that bad of a play.
No.
But I do think that the matchup is really great against the Jets, who have possibly the worst run defense in the league. Bad options, I know. They're not that bad. Singletary's not a bad flex option. It looked good all week until Moss cleared. And
Arnold is like a very solid tight end this now, right? Like
you're welcome. Yeah, I have Darnold. I had Dan Arnold about to start in a league in a flex spot, actually, which just goes to show how devastated by injuries my team was. See if I can find it. See if I made a change. I think I may have dropped him for somebody else.
The early options, there's only 7 games, in the early window. Not great. I'll say Atlanta, Dallas. I'll tell you what, I would not put on the Bills, Jets, or the Lions, Steelers. So the other 5 will be your games.
Yeah, that sounds about right. The Jaguars-Colts game, I think I like the Jags D this week. They were great last week, and I think they continue that against Carson Wentz, who doesn't give up on plays and will throw some terrible interceptions today. Trish Stratus says, thank you for your energy, your spirit, and your good vibes this morning, and God bless Pete Carroll.
And
Rick
for
with a
those
question.
wondering, Kyler and DeAndre Hopkins are officially out now.
Okay, officially out. Kyler and DeAndre Hopkins. So this is going to be another James Conner / Eno Benjamin game. Good for the one league where we only can make moves on Tuesday. And I ended up losing a player, Alvin Kamara, and now have to start Eno Benjamin. Pickle Rick says no PPR. A. Peterson or Jerry Jeudy? Jerry Jeudy.
No PPR makes it closer. I'll say Jeudy though too.
Jeudy has more yards than Peterson today.
There you go.
Peterson would need a touchdown to top him, but I don't see that happening. All right, 5 minutes to go. We're going to wrap it up. Last chance for questions for everybody watching. Get them in. Get them in now. Get them in. Are they in? Is anybody saying anything?
Not yet.
Just going to leave this up.
I
Count them
like
down, Matt. Give them 10 seconds, just like you do with your kids.
10,
Isn't that thing? 10, 9,
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And that's going to wrap it up for today's show. Thank you so much for joining. Thanks to anybody who subbed, anybody who liked the video. It really means a lot to us. Matt, last words here.
Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. Hopefully you did both.
That's it.